thank everybody who has joined and who is joining to come today. I'm really excited to be talking today at this wonderful group, at this chapter, Women Who Code. I know people are joining not just from New York, but from other states and even countries, which I am endlessly grateful for the opportunity. I would try, the topic I'll be talking about is very dear to my heart. So you may find myself talking a lot and going into the areas where probably for more depth than you would expect, but that's only because I'm extremely excited to be able to talk about this topic. Here is a brief agenda. I'll do short introductions on myself, who I am and why I'm even talking here. Then we'll go a little bit over why it all matters and where do you encounter negotiating your worst questions in the different interview processes. Then I'll go over how do you figure out what's your worst is and what are their points that you can negotiate on, and some extra tips and some of my personal experience at the very end. So first things first, my name is Kseniya. I'm currently a senior data science director at Bluffing. What is important to mention, I'm a first generation immigrant, which also involves huge career changer. I changed from sales to operations to data science. So I know from personal experience what imposter syndrome is. What is that like, hey, I really want this job. I really don't know if I am entitled to ask more. I'll just take what's given. I've been there. And all I can say, learning from my personal experience, how to be able to talk about your words, how to be able to ask for what you think is rightful for you, is a gained ability. I wasn't born with that. It's something that I acquired through my career and through also what I take pride in coaching other women and men, like no discrimination there given. It's just more, I find like women have a harder time asking for what they worth. So through coaching my dear friends and other women to how to ask for it, I gathered some basic knowledge that I would like to share with you today. And moving straight forward into the question, why it all matters. Why do we care for getting paid more, for asking to get paid more? First, some not really flattering statistics is that women are paid 82% of what men are paid for the same jobs. That's statistics for 2022 by Census Bureau. So it's valid, unfortunately. And if you think about it, it's a really huge difference. For example, think very simply, if a man is making 100,000 a year, a woman is making 82,000 a year, on average, obviously. The Census Bureau gives several explanations, several reasons for why this might be true. And one of the biggest reasons is that women are treated differently by employers than a man. I've seen that, I've been there, but I also see this changing. Another reason is that women are making different choices. They choose family instead of career. They choose to take breaks when they have children, etc., etc. I don't have my own opinion on like why exactly it's happening. Although we may all think about it that only about 50 years ago, in 70s, women get right to vote, and 50 years in the history, it's really short time, but we're making progress. That's also inspiring. What I know, though, which is valid for both male and female, that unless you ask for it, the answer is always no. I think of it like if we just pause and think, if we just don't do anything, there is absolutely no chance you're going to get something. So this is why I want to be what I will be talking today, that it's not like why we are here, why this world is unfair to women or to other minorities. It's just because we have powers to change it. And if we're not using those powers, the change may not come. So what's important though is not just asking blindly, like, hey, give me more money. I just want be paid more. It's knowing what you're actually worth, compare it to what you're getting, and being able to express it with numbers, with statistics, with something that's going to confirm your opinion. And one important part, why I'll be concentrating more on the stage of job search, on a stage of offer negotiations rather than negotiating your salary during your employment, is because the offer stage is actually your best bet to get the highest raise. Think of it like you're starting fresh with a new employer. They don't know you well, but obviously they're making an offer, they want to hire you. So that's the best point to get the higher raise than further in your career. Now let's move to the points where you encounter money questions during your interview. And interestingly, you probably all know it. When you get a recruiter screening, that's your first interaction with a company, where they just want to know if you're a real person, if what you wrote on your resume corresponds to what you were doing, but they also want to know, in most cases, what's your salary expectations? And there comes those super uncomfortable questions. I've heard from so many people that they're unpleasantly scared of those questions. Like, oh, what do I need to talk? Do I give the number? Do I give the range? Do I tell what I make now plus 10%? Or like, they're all over the place. So those questions usually sound as, what are your salary expectations? What are you looking for from compensation perspective? Anything. And that's normal. Recruiter wants to know that the job you're applying, the budget that they have, going to match with you. So neither you waste your time, neither they waste their time. And I encourage everybody to have a number or a range in their head. But I also highly encourage not to name that range. And instead, write it down, learn it, just have it handy, even though you panic and you really want to just spit a number out of yourself. This small answer: I would need to learn more about the role and responsibilities to be able to name my expectations. Do you have a budget allocated for this role that you can share with me? It's a very natural and I don't want to use the word correct, but it's a very natural answer. You basically, at the very beginning, lots of roles, let's say software engineer number 2, the compensation can differ dramatically from place to place. And yes, you should do research. You should know where you're standing with this exact company. But sometimes you won't know it, especially if it's a smaller company, there is not enough data, et cetera, et cetera. So it's normal to learn more what is actually expected in a role to be able to talk numbers. And it's very natural and normal to ping pong the question back to the recruiter and say, hey, I know you're screening me, you're asking me this question so you can know if I am falling into your budget. So why don't you name the budget? And interestingly enough, most recruiters would say the budget, because they genuinely interested in screening candidates and letting them know as much information as possible. You would definitely encounter recruiters who would try to squeeze you for that number. So hard squeeze you, like, no, I cannot move with along with a process unless you tell me. That happens. But this is really like 5% of the population. Or recruiters may not even ask this question because you're interviewing for bigger companies, their numbers are kind of transparent. If you encounter the recruiter who actually does want to know, you may try to ping pong a couple more times, asking to talk to hiring manager to get an idea, or you will need to be able to name your range. That's why I advise to know your number before you get into the recruiter call, but try hard not to tell it. Then you go through the whole interview process. You meet with the hiring manager, you go through technical rounds of interview for panel discussion, whatever your role entitles. Like, you'll go through all the interviews and you feel powerful because you rock all the interviews. You know that you got them. And then you're getting an email, a text message from recruiter saying, hey, can we get on a quick 15 minutes call? You probably all know what it means. You'll be getting an offer. Because very randomly, recruiter will want to talk to you if they want to tell you, thank you so much for your time, but we decided to move with another candidate. They will send you an email for that or not say anything. So if you're getting on the call with a recruiter not for the first time in the process, but at the end of the process, be ready as well. The offer is coming. Great news. But here's an action plan, what you should be doing. Recruiter will call and say, hey, the team loved you. We really would like to move on with an offer. And the offer is, and they name some basic points like base salary, annual bonus, maybe some like shares or options, depending where you're interviewing. What you do first, you thank the recruiter. You thank for the opportunity. You thank for presenting an offer. You say that you love the team as well, that you're excited for it, and then go over total compensation. What actually is the whole point in there? Okay, this is a base salary. This is a bonus. This is your PTO. I'll have different negotiation points later on, so you can make it as a list before talking to the recruiter. Once recruiter voices all the points, a very logical thing is to ask all of it in writing, because A, you may definitely not remember, you may not remember everything. B, it's always good to have in writing, because unless offer is in writing, it's actually never happened. I haven't seen that personally, where the offer won't end up in writing and it will be like taken back, but you never know, so writing is always better. Then thank them again and tell them that you need time to consider. Don't respond to an offer, even it sounds absolutely fantastic, better than what you expected, etc., etc. Take a little bit step back to consider it. You have a right for this. At this stage, if they're making an offer, they're interested in you. It's not easy to find good candidates. And if the employer went all the way to the offer, they're not going to take it back because you asked for a day to consider it. Ask them for deadline at which you need to get back to them. Once you have all the information, you thank the recruiter again, you tell them that you will get to them by this deadline with your response, and you hang up. And that's where fun part begins. Now you need to evaluate the offer. You need to understand, okay, where does it fall within my acceptance? What I can negotiate on. And here I'll be talking a little bit about what can be negotiated. But first, I would like to introduce some of the tools, online tools, that can be used to figure out the base salary or base salary plus bonus, or sometimes total compensation package. I really like my self-pay scale and levels. Glassdoor has not bad tools for figuring out your compensation. However, I've heard multiple times that Glassdoor lists lower salaries than expected. So if you see that your offer is a little higher than what Glassdoor, that's actually means it's somewhere where it needs to be. Then obviously Indeed, a blind, and salary list. Those tools allow you to enter your location, your position, and also maybe industry, because some industries, like let's say financial services or biotech, they can have like higher pay ranges. It will all depend. There may not be enough data for your specific industries, and feel free to just narrow down a location and a role. And also needing to understand, like, let's say big tech numbers might be different than banking numbers. Depending on how your interview went, I recommend going either like shooting either for median if you like just feel you did okay, you don't know exactly like you didn't expect this offer to come. However, if you felt like you rocked every stage of the process, 75th percentile or even higher might be the number you might be aiming for when you make your counter offer or when you're evaluating an offer. I'll repeat again, the best moment to increase your salary is an offer stage. So don't miss it. I always hear the question, how much more I can ask? And it will all depend on where the offer falls and what the statistic says. And also how you feel about yourself and how much value you can feel you can bring to the company. There is no cookie cutter answer there. It can be anywhere from 5 to 50% or even more. Like it all depends, like how where you fall on all of this. I would say it's very personal question and there is no exact answer. But getting an understanding of where the offer falls initially on a total package compensation through the services can give you a brief idea. Then there comes lots of other points that you can negotiate, or at least that you can consider as a total compensation package. There can be annual bonus, or sometimes there might be a sign-in bonus or any other type of bonuses. For example, you are making a career change somewhere at the beginning of the year, so you're missing on your annual bonus that's going to be paid at your current job. You can make it as a statement, and the next employer to pay your sign-in bonus. And then, depending on what company you're interviewing with, publicly traded company or a startup, you can be offered shares or options. Recruiter will go into details what those are, how they be invested, what they actually are. Important thing to remember: shares is actual compensation. Options are probable compensation in future if your startup goes into IPO and you get lucky. Not lucky, but but that's probable compensation. Another important point is paid time off. Maybe just negotiating another week of paid vacation is a big deal for you, depending on your situations. Maybe you love traveling and having 3 weeks is not enough. You really want that 4th week or 5th week. Like I've seen many different options. Medical, dental, 401k, and other benefits like life or legal insurance, FSA, HSA, commuter benefits, they're non-negotiable. They either given or not, but those can be really, especially 401k employee match. It's like basically free money for you. So if the employer is offering it, consider it as additional compensation. If employers are not offering, consider it as another negotiation point to ask for more base salary. That's why I say that it's important to understand total package to see what other levels you have and how you ask for it. For me personally, since I'm down in Florida and I really enjoy the weather down here, work type that's being remote only is important. Maybe for you, going to the office and socializing is important. So consider that as additional bonus point, or maybe even negotiation point. Maybe instead of making to an office once a week, you can negotiate making to an office once a month. That can also be a benefit for you. Also, not really a negotiable thing, and I didn't put it here, but if in the interview process, you discover that a hiring manager is really a person you would like to work with, you would like to learn from that person, and you feel like they can give you a lot of boost in your career, like you get this idea while you're interviewing. That can be an important thing to consider while accepting an offer that might be slightly lower than where you would like to be. And I'll explain why. I really love the statistics. It's mind-blowing when you think about it. I'll give a small pause. So 30% of your life satisfaction depends on your job. 70% of your job satisfaction depends on your manager. Another small pause. We are at Women Who Code, so even me with my really poor basic math skills, doing basic mathematics here, 21% of your life satisfaction depends on one single person, who is not your spouse, not your significant other, not your child, not even your mother. So think about it. So select your managers wisely, and if you're lucky to have good one, that's a huge benefit altogether. That's how I view it, and I encountered that working with great managers actually makes your life a lot easier. And last but not least, sometimes companies will offer paid trainings, paid stipends to for extended education that can also benefit, has additional value. Here comes also home office. Here comes also paid lunches and all other different benefits that you can consider and make informed decision. Also, I don't have pets, but I know Anna does, and having pet insurance, having some sort of pet daycare or some other fancy things right now employers are offering that I cannot keep up with and put it in one slide. Lots of different points for negotiation. You will always know what's important for you, and you will try to make this, puzzle of okay, I'll sacrifice 5K in a base salary if I can get 3 more vacation days, whatever works for you. Then I spoke about where you encounter money questions. I spoke about how would you create all these puzzles. So now you know what you want to ask this employer. You have the job offer, and you know where you want. Here comes a question: how do I do it? What do I actually do? I just call him a recruiter and say, I want more, here's what it is. And I would say yes, if you're confident enough in yourself. I will be straightforward. I cannot pull it through. I get nervous, I get sweaty hands, I shiver. I will make sure I'll forget something if I make 100 post notes all over the place. So what I do, I make a presentation. It's very simple presentation, especially if the numbers are really off. If, for example, they offer you 10% less than what's median or 75th percentile is, or whatever else. If you figure out the way where the logic is on your side. First slide, explain why you think the offer is lower where it should be. And second slide, say how much you want. I also do, because I've been in sales before, I also do this trick. Whoever is here on the hiring manager side may not like it. I'm myself in the hiring manager side. Give an employer an illusion of choice. Give them options hey, I would be happy to accept either of these 2 offers or 3 offers. Somewhere you ask for more upfront money, somewhere you ask for a signing bonus, somewhere you ask for more paid time off. Just making sure that you're giving them options that you would accept yourself. And I mentioned already, you just need to do, this is a homework. This is part of your interview preparation altogether, not just mastering technical part, not just mastering behavior questions, but also mastering knowing how much you're worth and being able to express it. One huge tip I saw once in TED Talk that I think is amazing is before you if you decide to talk on the phone, or even before pressing the send button on your computer, you need to get this confidence. I'll see if I can pull it through. Basically, the idea is you get up from your chair, you stand up. I'll try to make sure I fit in the thing. And you try to occupy as much space in your room as possible. You raise your hands, you stretch, you just make yourself feel big. like as big as you can be, like bigger than that offer, bigger than that company, bigger than like anything. Once you get this confidence, like, or like some energy, you take a deep breath in, you exhale, and that's it. You are a confident version of yourself. Works like magic. Give it a try. Also give it a try before interviews of any other kind. So just reassuring yourself that you deserve it. And once you believe in it, I'm not saying guaranteed employer will believe it and give you what you want, but it will definitely decrease your own hesitation and increase your chances. Few other things before I finish up is that interesting statement, absolutely straightforward, that if you have parallel interview processes, they will most likely lead to parallel offers. And that's what you want. You want to have a choice. I always call employment is a two-way street. You choose employer as well as employer chooses you. So give yourself a choice in that processes. Also, if, for example, you get an offer at one place and another one hasn't finished the whole process yet, or is taking time to consider, give them a wink saying, hey, I just received an offer from a different company. However, I'm still really interested in your position. I really like the team. Do you think we can expedite the process? Or do you think you can let me know what do you feel about me applying for this role with you? If they're interested in you, they will either give you an offer if you're done with the process, or will try to expedite the process as much as possible. And an important part, as much as you're asking about all different benefits and offer points, ask in the beginning, and especially after you're already accepting an offer and signing an offer, how often and what type of a process the company has for salary revisions. This can be another negotiating point, by the way. If for whatever reason company says this is the maximum we can pay, you can always ask, can I fall in, especially now, we're at the end of September, evaluation processes are usual towards the end of the year or beginning of the next year. Will I fall into your evaluation cycle? Or what are your revision processes? Or would you mind putting in an offer that based on my performance, my salary might be revised in 6 months rather than a year? It's in general very useful to know it. And putting your first step at the door gives you the right to ask all of those questions. Being like 3-4 months employed may make it awkward, but at the very beginning, you're entitled to ask any questions. And talking about questions, I'll open it up for Q&A. Oops.
Thank you so much, Xenia. Yeah, we have some questions in the chat. Also, if anyone has any questions, send them in the chat. The first question that was asked was, now that salary ranges posted in New York, does this change how this question should be approached? And there was a very similar comment about this, that the last few interviews I've had, the recruiters asked for my salary requirements, even when the salary range is included in job posting. So yeah, some states, New York and some other states, they do include the ranges. So how do you handle this?
First of all, from what I've seen, even though I'm in Florida, I'm still looking for, when I'm checking the post, I check New York offerings. I see ranges that don't make sense to me, to be honest, because they would put the range with a range of 100K in it, from let's say 80 to 180, which is sweet, like, but what does it actually tell me about the job? So I think it's still employers are trying to get around with asking it. So if you encounter this question again about your salary expectations, answer it same way. What is the budget? And like asking them back, what is the budget? What are you looking to spend in this role? And probably don't go unless recruiter starts tipping on it, hey, this is our budget because we don't know what seniority level we are looking for. This also will give you, like, don't give your number. Like, it will give you an idea of like, okay, you may also ask what seniority levels you considering. So to give you more idea of like, how does it fit your level? Because only you know your seniority level. For example, if you're applying for a data analyst, it can be somebody very junior out of college or somebody very experienced. I usually, like, when I'm hiring, I prefer to know, to give my recruiters exactly where whom I need, so we structure it narrower. But I can also imagine that there might be situations where middle or senior may be equally okay for the project. So try to get information out of recruiter. Whom are they looking for? Like, if you see the range and they say, oh, we post the range, you say like, hey, the range can be applied to any kind of seniority, can you grade it for me so it's easier? But again, try not to give your number. There is this unspoken rule that whoever gives a number first loses. I don't like it to this extent, but in some sort of it gives, like, you want information, the company should know more or less.
Yeah, that's fair. Thank you. Another question was, how do you recommend searching for market value for remote roles where offices could be in multiple cities and you are in another one?
Right now, some of those websites that I mentioned offer remote option where you can just put remote. You can also have, I wouldn't recommend it, but I would have it nationwide. That would obviously lower the median a lot. Or select top 3 cities where you can possibly consider yourself relocating. That can be another option. Or like, if you are in a big city, for example, if you are in New York and you're looking for a remote role, still check New York, because you are in New York, you live in New York life, you pay New York prices. Regardless it's remote or not, your expenses remain on New York level. It may not be an argument you can use in salary negotiations, but this is a good, and especially if the company also has an office in New York, consider yourself like, where's the office where if you have to go, you would go, is located.
Yeah, we have a similar comment here that sometimes employers will take into consideration the cost of living where you are. I think it's fair because if you live in New York, obviously, you need more money to afford living here. Another good question is it possible to negotiate a sign-in bonus if you're currently unemployed?
Yes, like I would say, you can negotiate whatever you want. Like, for example, when I was signing with my company, there was no signing bonus offered with whatsoever. However, as I said, like, I can only pull a presentation, I cannot pull the conversation. So one of the options I included, okay, you pay me less base salary, but after 3 months you give me a signing bonus. So you can totally do it. It's there is no right or wrong. It's again comes to the same statement. The answer is always no unless you ask.
Yeah, that's a great phrase. Another question is, I'm working with a third-party recruiter, headhunter, and he gave me a salary range that was below what I saw in the public posting. If I get an offer, how can I best address this discrepancy?
Well, it also, you first of all, you can use it what's in their offer as a negotiating, saying, hey, looks like the job is worth more. And also, same research, if your research numbers prove that this number is lower than what you're offering, then you're entitled to ask for more. Again, it's not here just like you get an offer and regardless of where it's full, you just ask for 20% more and done deal, you either get it or not. it's all numbers game. It's an all understanding of where you fall, where the offer falls within the range. Also, I've seen situations, and it happened to me, where at initial screening stage, the budget was named way lower than what I would accept. The offer came higher than the initial budget, and then it was still lower than what I would accept. And I was negotiating from there. So but it's not guaranteed. Like, something happening to one person is not guaranteeing that might happen to you. I would say, if you see that the job is advertised somewhere else, you can first, at the very initial conversation, ask a third-party recruiter why he or she is coming with a lower number to you, if you say it. And this may sound a bit rude or something, but some third-party recruiters may not have a good idea of what they're actually doing. That's why, like, bringing them back to earth and explaining to them what your worth is sometimes early in the process may benefit you, so you don't fall into those pitfalls. But if your research shows the role can pay more, just use that knowledge to negotiate.
Awesome. How to address not to be overwhelmed with parallel offers?
No advice there. Like, to be like, job search, and especially offer negotiation, is super overwhelming. It's super stressful. I haven't seen a person, and it's funny because you get in an offer finally, and but it's super stressful. This is not an advice fit all, but whatever grounds you. Like, for me, it's yoga and meditation. Just go into something that helps you relax. I know, swim in the swimming pool, go to a kickboxing class, whatever gets your anxiety out, grounds you, and gives you relief. That's, like, however you deal with any type of stress, just deal with the same stress. There is no, like, hey, this is not a stress, like, here is a tip, like, you do it. No, it's stressful. The whole job search is stressful. It's another job on top of your normal job. Even if you are unemployed, it's still a full-time job to look for a job. Sorry for double. So just deal with the stress like you would normally deal with it.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Searching for a job, sometimes it's like just another full-time job. Do you have any advice for asking for future raises in a new role in terms of timing and how to approach the conversation?
I would suggest at a stage where recruiter presents you an offer, and that can be just another negotiation point, like just another offer point. Ask them, by the way, how often is salary revision provided? We're not talking right now about raises when you're being promoted. That's absolutely, like, that's a separate processes, but just in general. And right now we're in a perfect timing where inflation rates are up through the roof. You can ask, hey, especially given right now economic situation with rising inflation, etc., how does the company treat, like, salary revisions? How often does it happen? Like, can you give me an idea? Again, when you're new to the company, you're entitled to ask all of those uncomfortable questions. Don't wait too long. Just ask straightforward.
How do you approach situation when recruiter mentions reason for a lower number due to challenging market, which you just brought up? Like, the market is challenging, so it can be also from their side as like, reason.
Well, obviously, here is the thing: the company is not trying to squeeze you. In most cases, they can be like really mean companies and really mean situations, but in general, if they're looking for they have job opening, they're looking to fill the position, they want you to come on board, and they want you to work there. They don't want to, like, just squeeze every bit of you, so like in 3 months you quit. No, me as a hiring manager would never even think about the situation. You want somebody who would last, and making them last is making them happy. So if the recruiter is saying, hey, this is maximum what we can do, and they use the reason of a challenging market, that's like, hey, this is what we pay. This is just the reality. Like, you can say, you could, if numbers, if your market research shows the numbers are different, you can always present that. If you show that market is somewhere where recruiter is actually mentioning, then there might be no counter possible. And that's the reality of it. Again, not asking guarantees you're not getting, but asking doesn't guarantee you're getting. It's just like you making your effort in negotiation, which is already a super huge skill, to be honest.
Yeah. Also going back to like added value that you were talking about, if the offer is a little lower, but you know that you can grow in this role or learn a lot, it's also like worth taking the role. I really liked recently I saw someone said that at a good job you should be either earning or learning. Like if you get both, it's amazing. But if like you're not earning enough, at least you should be learning. If you're not getting any of those, you probably just have to leave.
Agree. I've
When,
oh, sorry. I also heard that it's like a balance of three things, and it's like you get a compensation, you get time that you spent at your job. Like, so if you start working crazy hours and you get paid, I don't know, 5% more, is it really worth of all your effort? And then on top of it is your job satisfaction. That's, remember, your manager statistics and everything. So if you like, if one of those start falling back, you can try to fix it. But consider, like, basically, if you get two of those, the third one will come together eventually. So definitely not just monetary aspects of all this negotiation.
yeah. In terms of arguments, what can be my arguments to support asking for a sign-in bonus?
Again, sign-in bonus usually comes handy where employer tells you, hey, this is really maximum base salary and annual bonus, like whatever base compensation we can offer you. But your research shows that same role should be paid more. And because your research shows it should be paid more, it doesn't mean employer has the budget for that. It's like that in idealistic capitalistic world, supply should match demand and you get the price. But reality is so far away from the theory. So if this happens where your market, like, you know that the market value is higher, but employer can only offer whatever they're offering. So this difference is your chance for a sign-in bonus. Like where you say, okay, I understand that this is the maximum. I'm still, and again, it comes back to what Anna was talking. I'm still interested in this company. I see myself growing with you and bringing you value and you adding to my career. Because again, two-way street. So what would be nice to me if we can agree on a sign-in bonus?
Okay, that's good advice. How much of bluffing do you think is acceptable while negotiating an offer? I expect the bonus most likely to be X amount, but I expect 1.5x.
Good point. And I like the idea of asking more than what you would get, but staying realistic. Like if you ask of 1.5, that might be stretchy. Of course, if it's like bonus is 10% and you're asking for 15, it's probably okay. But let's say if you offer it 100K and you ask for 150, given that the market value is 130, is probably too much stretching. There is no cookie cutter answer, as I said before. There is no such thing as like, ask for 20% more, you'll get it. You may not. It's all individual. Ask more, like, and it's also like you may get more than one chance of a counter offer. It's not like you ask once and that's it, and the recruiter comes, no, we just decided not to hire you. They made all this process of, especially right now with so many rounds of interviews, of taking people out of jobs and making them talk to you, and not just to you, to many other people, that they will see it through. So they will come back to you with a counter, or they will say initial offer is all we can have. So add some bluff, whatever you feel like you are entitled for, or where you're how crazy you can get. But again, I cannot give you like, this is the answer and that's gonna work. Try, and if you try with like really high numbers and they work, share your story. Like I love those stories. They give us all encouragement to just continue advocating for your worth. And again, like I would like to state that this is not a question of how to squeeze employer more. It's how to get what you actually are worth in general, not to be scared to ask for it.
Yeah, I think it's really hard not to be scared. You never get used to that. We have one more question. I think this will be the last one, and then we'll just wrap everything up. Where can I learn more about the inside rules of the game?
What I meant by inside rules of the game?
I think about the negotiating, I really like this question because I wonder sometimes. I know from my perspective how to approach the negotiate, but I don't know what is on the other side, like what the recruiter is thinking, or the hiring manager. Are they trying to save money, or like what is in their minds? I know it's impossible to read minds.
I don't think it's again the answer nobody gonna like. There is no answer, and it depends a lot on the company you're applying for. If you're applying, let's say, for a big bank, or even big tech companies, Meta, Google, etc., they may have their ranges, and no matter what, they will stick to their ranges. What they can possibly do, up your level so you fit into a different range. If you're applying for startups, they may try to give, then like look what type of startup is. Are they at a seed level? Basically try to evaluate how much money the company has. That's a good idea of like getting sense of how much they can offer you. If you, for example, applying for a startup that raised round C, brilliant. Round C is a huge step, and they have money, and especially if they raise like this an amount, the first chunk they're spending is on hiring, because that's logical, like you're expanding. There is no, or what is others, like I'm not really good at it myself, but you can talk, you can find hiring managers from that company, especially if it's a bigger company and like parallel departments or something like this, and try to get ideas of what they like, what is the processes within the company. Are they squeezing for money? Are they like really tightening the budgets? But they have this opening and they need this person, or they're expanding. Like now I know we're not in the expanding market, so that's my mean tightening the budgets and hiring for what companies actually need, which is actually good for all of us. So it's all kind of collecting information and getting a sense of where the company stands and what are the processes inside. And that you can only learn, obviously financial well-being you can learn from like the news and etc. And I recommend researching it regardless of you're going to negotiate the offer or not, because you want to make sure that you're getting into a company that will sustain and will have your role opened for some time, but also but then also communicating with people from that company and getting an idea how internal processes are working to the extent they can share, obviously.
Yeah. Our director, Kelly, also put the comment in the chat, which is very similar to what you just said. Befriend some hiring managers and recruiters and ask them what they think, not about any given role, but they can share what they see generally. Thank you, everyone, for great questions. Thank you, Ksenia, for great answers and great presentation. I will just post in the chat once again our meetup where you can RSVP to our upcoming events. I don't know why the images didn't add, but we have the upcoming events as Coffee Code Break. We also will have data structures event about strings in the beginning of October. Also stay connected with us. I will also send a link to a chat. If you haven't yet joined our Slack channel, please do. And also you can go to womenwhocode.com to sign up for our email. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for great questions. Thank you for being here today. And Xenia, you are an amazing speaker. We had a lot of thank yous in the chat. So it was a very helpful session, great session. And people said that they want to see you again as a speaker. So thank you so much. Hope everyone has a great day. I will post the slides in the Slack channel, and also the recording will be uploaded